Welcome to our deep dive into Sun Tzu's Art of War. You want to learn about this ancient text and the mysterious figure behind it. We even have a copy of Lionel Giles's translation ready to go.
A text that's captivated readers for centuries. It's really incredible how relevant it remains, even in modern times.
Yeah, and you provided this translation by Lionel Giles, but there's so much mystery surrounding Sun Tzu himself. Some scholars believe the Art of War was written even later than traditionally thought. Language changes over time.
Right, language analysis can be a powerful tool for historians.
Exactly. Yeah, Schweissen, a scholar who studied the art of war, noticed that the style of writing and the types of battles described point to a later date, closer to when Confucius was alive.
Wow, that's a fascinating point. It makes you wonder how these two figures, both so influential in Chinese history, might have viewed the world: Sun Tzu, the master strategist, and Confucius, the philosopher of ethics and social harmony.
Yeah, it's like these two giants were wrestling with the big questions of their time: how to live, how to lead, how to deal with conflict, but from completely different angles. And speaking of giants, Lionel Giles includes a preface by Tsao Ts, a legendary general and scholar who lived centuries after Sun Tzu.
Oh, Tsao Ts's perspective is invaluable. Not only was he a brilliant military strategist in his own right, but he was also a respected scholar. His analysis of the art of war adds a whole other layer of depth to our understanding.
And he doesn't hold back in his praise, does he? Tsao Ts claims that the art of war influenced military victories and losses for over 1,000 years.
Well, that speaks volumes about the enduring power of Sun Tzu's ideas. It's remarkable to think that a text written so long ago could have such a profound and lasting impact on warfare.
It really makes you think about the long and often tumultuous history of warfare in China. It's fascinating because we often associate Chinese culture with peace-loving sentiments.
It's a paradox for sure. But understanding that historical tension between war and peace is key to appreciating Sun Tzu's work.
It's like he was saying, look, conflict is a reality. Let's understand it, master it, and hopefully avoid the worst of it.
Precisely, and that's what sets the art of war apart. It doesn't dwell on the morality of war or get bogged down in philosophical debates. Instead, it dives straight into the practical matters of military strategy and tactics.
And those opening lines, they're so stark. And to the point, Sun Tzu states plainly that war is a matter of life and death for a state, a subject that cannot be ignored.
He's not sugarcoating anything. He's laying out the stakes right from the start. And then he introduces the 5 constant factors that govern warfare: the moral law, heaven, earth, the commander, and method and discipline.
Okay, let's unpack these 5 factors a bit. They sound a bit abstract at first glance.
They do, but they're actually quite insightful. Moral law refers to the unity of purpose and shared values within a nation. It's about having the people on your side. Heaven encompasses the weather, and timing. Earth refers to the terrain and distances involved.
So it's about understanding the environment, both physical and social, in which the conflict is taking place.
Exactly. And then you have the commander, representing leadership and decision-making, and method and discipline, referring to organization and training of the troops.
It's fascinating how Sun Tzu connects these seemingly disparate elements, morale, weather, terrain, leadership, and discipline, and shows how they all play a role in the outcome of war.
He's painting a holistic picture of warfare, showing that victory depends on a complex interplay of factors. It's not just about brute force, but about strategy planning and adapting to circumstances.
And speaking of adapting to circumstances, Sun Tzu has some truly memorable insights on that topic. For example, you mentioned you were interested in quick, impactful takeaways.
Yeah.
Well, this one really stuck with me. When able to attack, we must seem unable. He's all about deception and surprise.
That's classic Sun Tzu. He's constantly challenging us to think beyond the obvious and consider the psychological dimension of warfare. Another gem is supreme excellence consists of breaking the enemy's resistance without fighting. He's advocating for achieving victory through strategy and maneuver, ideally without even engaging in battle.
It's almost counterintuitive. You'd think a book on warfare would be all about fighting. But he's actually emphasizing the importance of avoiding direct confrontation whenever possible.
He's saying the true victory lies in outmaneuvering your opponent, not necessarily overpowering them. Which brings us to another key insight. Victorious warriors win first and then go to war, while defeated warriors go to war first and then seek to win. Planning and preparation are everything.
So it's like he's saying, don't just react to events. Anticipate them. Strategize. Set yourself up for success before you even engage. It's like having a blueprint for any challenging situation, not just war.
Exactly. And that's why Sun Tzu's work resonates with people from all walks of life, from military leaders to business executives to athletes. These principles of strategic thinking are timeless and universally applicable.
He doesn't shy away from giving advice on leadership, does he? He warns about the dangers of a ruler interfering with his generals in the field. He even says there are roads which must not be followed, commands of the sovereign which must not be obeyed.
He's emphasizing the importance of trust and delegation. A good leader empowers those under their command and doesn't micromanage their every move.
He's basically saying, know your role, give clear instructions, and then trust your team to execute them. It's about flexibility, adaptability, empowering those around you.
Absolutely. One of the most fascinating chapters is the use of spies. Sun Tzu identifies 5 different types: local, inward converted, doomed, and surviving.
5 types of spies.
Oh,
Okay, I'm definitely hooked. Tell me more about these different types of spies and how Sun Tzu used them to gain an advantage.
well, local spies are those recruited from the enemy's own people. Inward spies are enemy officials who have been persuaded to switch sides. Converted spies are enemy spies who have been captured and turned to work for you. Doomed spies are those deliberately fed false information to mislead the enemy.
So you're saying he's not just talking about gathering information, but also using disinformation and manipulation. It's all part of the psychological game.
Exactly. And finally, surviving spies are those sent into enemy territory and then return with information.
It sounds like the art of war is as much about mental warfare as it is about physical combat. Using spies to gather intelligence, spread disinformation, and sow discord, it's a whole other level of strategy.
Precisely. And it shows how far ahead of his time Sun Tzu was in recognizing the importance of information and intelligence in warfare.
Wow, this is all incredibly fascinating. I'm ready to dive even deeper into Sun Tzu's world and see how these ideas play out in the text itself.
Yeah, it's amazing how these ancient strategies still resonate today, even outside of a military context.
Okay, I'm all ears. How does Sun Tzu's thinking translate to, say, the business world or even personal relationships?
Well, take the concept of knowing your enemy. You mentioned wanting to see how Sun Tzu's ideas play out in real life, right?
Absolutely.
In business, knowing your enemy translates to understanding your competitors.
Yeah.
What are their strengths and weaknesses? What strategies are they using? It's about doing your research and gathering intelligence, just like Sun Tzu's spies.
So it's not about viewing people as enemies, but rather understanding the forces at play, whether those forces are market trends, rival companies, or even our own internal struggles.
Precisely. And then there's choosing your battles, another gem from Sun Tzu. He emphasizes picking the right time and place to engage. It's about being strategic and deliberate, not just reacting impulsively.
So how does choosing your battles apply to, say, personal relationships?
Think about it. You wouldn't pick a fight with your partner over every little disagreement,
Right.
right? It's about discerning what's truly important and worth addressing. Save your energy for the issues that really matter.
That makes so much sense. It's about strategy and careful consideration. It reminds me of that quote, victorious warriors win first and then go to war. Planning and preparation can make all the difference.
Exactly. Sun Tzu was all about setting yourself up for success. Assess the situation, develop a plan, and then act decisively. He also stresses adapting to changing circumstances, which is so relevant in today's fast-paced world.
It's like he's saying be prepared for anything, which is pretty solid advice no matter what you're facing. Sun Tzu was a master of strategic positioning. Remember that quote about seeming unable when you're able to attack? It's about not revealing your full hand until the right moment, creating an element of surprise.
Think of it like a poker game. You don't want to show your opponents all your cards right away. Observe, strategize, and then strike when the opportunity is right.
Wow, that's a great analogy. I'm starting to see why the art of war has become such a classic. It's almost like a blueprint for strategic thinking, applicable across so many domains.
It's a testament to the power of timeless wisdom, the core principles of strategy and human behavior that Sun Tzu identified centuries ago are still relevant today.
We've covered a lot of ground here.
Yeah.
What would you say are some of the most surprising or memorable takeaways from the art of war?
For me, one of the biggest surprises was Sun Tzu's emphasis on avoiding battle whenever possible. He's not about glorifying war, but about achieving victory with the least amount of bloodshed. He'd much rather outsmart an opponent than overpower them.
That's so counterintuitive. You'd think a book on warfare would be all about fighting. But he's actually advocating for a more strategic, even peaceful approach.
Right. He stresses deception, intelligence gathering, choosing your battles carefully, all in the service of achieving a strategic advantage without resorting to brute force.
It's like he's saying the best way to win a war is to avoid fighting one altogether.
Exactly. Another key takeaway is his focus on adaptability, the need to be flexible and respond to changing circumstances on the battlefield. That's crucial in any field.
The ability to adjust your strategy based on new information or unexpected challenges is essential for success.
He's all about having a flexible mindset, not a rigid plan. Be ready to make adjustments as needed. Sun Tzu was clearly a master strategist, but would his strategies work in today's world? We're talking about cyber warfare, global interconnectedness, a whole different landscape than ancient China.
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? It's fascinating to think about how these ancient ideas might apply to modern challenges.
Military strategists and scholars are grappling with that question today. On the one hand, the basic principles of warfare remain the same: knowing your enemy, choosing your battles, adapting to changing circumstances. On the other hand, the tools and tactics have evolved dramatically.
It's like trying to apply the rules of chess to a video game. The basic concepts might be similar, but the gameplay is totally different.
Exactly. And that's why Sun Tzu's work is so fascinating. It challenges us to think about how ancient wisdom can be adapted to modern problems.
So how do Sun Tzu's teachings translate to something like cyber warfare?
Well, consider deception. In the digital realm, that might involve creating fake identities, spreading misinformation, even hacking into enemy systems to plant false data.
It's like a digital version of holding out baits to entice the enemy, as Sun Tzu puts it.
Exactly. And intelligence gathering is even more critical in the digital age. Whoever controls the information flow has a huge advantage.
Information is power. What about speed and adaptability? Those seem even more crucial in today's fast-paced digital environment.
Absolutely. In cyber warfare, things can change in an instant. You need to be able to react quickly and decisively, just like on a physical battlefield.
It sounds like Sun Tzu's teachings are more relevant than ever in this digital age. It's just a matter of adapting those ancient principles to the new battlefields we face.
I think so. It's remarkable how these ideas born in the context of ancient warfare can have such resonance in the digital age.
This has been an incredible journey into the world of the art of war. It's made me realize that this book is not just about warfare. It's about strategy, leadership, and understanding human behavior.
It truly is a timeless masterpiece.
I'm already feeling inspired to apply some of his wisdom to my own life.
Yeah. It makes you wonder, if Sun Tzu were he alive today, would he be a tech mogul or a cybersecurity expert?
Right. It is mind-blowing to think how his ideas born in the context of ancient warfare can have such resonance in the digital age.
Yeah. It speaks to the enduring power of strategic thinking, no matter the tools or technologies involved. It highlights the fact that human nature at its core hasn't really changed all that much. We're still driven by the same desires for power, for security, for advantage, even if the ways we pursue those desires have evolved.
So it's not just about applying Sun Tzu's tactics directly to modern situations, but rather about understanding the underlying principles of human behavior and strategic thinking that his work reveals.
Exactly. His work offers a framework for understanding conflict and competition, a way of thinking strategically that transcends time and context.
It makes you realize that The Art of War isn't just a book about warfare. It's a book about life, about navigating the complexities of human interactions, whether on a battlefield, in a boardroom, or even in our personal relationships.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
So we've explored the historical context of Sun Tzu's The Art of War, delved into its key concepts, and even pondered its relevance in today's digital age.
It's been a fascinating journey.
As we wrap up our deep dive, I'm left with one final thought-provoking question for you. Think about your own digital battlefield, whether it's your online presence or navigating the complexities of the online world. How can you use Sun Tzu's wisdom to achieve your goals and navigate the challenges you face?
That's a great question to ponder. I think Sun Tzu would remind us to be strategic, adaptable, and always aware of the forces at play around us.
Well said. Thanks for joining me on this deep dive into the world of Sun Tzu. It's been an enlightening exploration of strategic thinking and its enduring relevance in our lives.